Hi folks, my name is Girish, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for Season 2. Is that crazy that we are on Season 2 now? So today we're going to talk to you about fitness, nutrition, and the lifestyle that we're going to be getting into. Of how tough it is to gain weight or lose weight or just look just right the way you should be. And I think the body talks a lot of languages, and that's what we're going to talk to you about, how that changes in life. So Chee Young is a person that I met on Clubhouse last year, or I should say last season, and she's an amazing person to get to know, and she's a great friend of mine now, and I think we talk to each other almost every day, or every other day, if not every day. So Chee, how are you, and thanks for coming on Clubhouse, or I should say on Back to Basics.
I am wonderful. I thank you for having me. It has been wonderful meeting you. Such a kind and gentle soul, and just full of life. And I just love people like that. So I am happy and honored to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming here, Chee. Before we get into all the lifestyle and the health topic that we're going to talk about, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
Back to basic. It, so it's funny because the basics and what I used to know isn't what I understand the basics is now.
Okay.
Um, Growing up and, living this life as a child is normally what I would say. Well, getting back to the basics and how you grew up and things. But now that I understand health differently, I definitely understand that the basics that I was taught wasn't quite right. So, but just getting back to what should have been ordained from the very beginning and growing up is how I now see getting back to the basics. Getting more spiritual, getting more into health, and you know, getting back to loving one another, loving humanity is something that I definitely would say would be some of my ideas of getting back to the basics.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Chee, before I ask you other questions, what does it mean by that what you were taught and it's not correct and what you thought is correct now? What do you mean by that?
Sure, eating habits.
Eating habits, okay.
Yes. Um, Growing up, well, what I will say is my mom, she made sure that she cooked a home cooked meal almost every night.
Sure.
She was definitely one for getting the greens in the system. However, it was the additional stuff on the side. So the pork, um, the different meats, and she not knowing why I stayed sick. I stayed sick a lot as a child. Food coloring, we did figure out that there was one thing that made me sick a lot was the red food coloring. So like the fruit punches and certain cereals, I couldn't indulge in because my body would reject it. So that's what I was referring to.
Okay, okay. So does that mean also that tomato is also a red? So does that give you problems too? Or we're talking other
So
sugary stuff?
so you're just diving right in.
Sure.
Well, let me show you this. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a chart for your blood type.
Mm.
And for me, tomatoes, now tomatoes is not bad for everyone, but for my blood type, let me see. Tomatoes. Let's see here. Veggies, tea. Tomatoes is something that I need to avoid, and I didn't know that growing up. I still have them, but I have it in moderation. I need to avoid them because they are very acidic for me, according to my blood type. My blood type does not produce the correct enzymes, or I don't have the correct enzymes to actually break it down, so it doesn't continuously form acidity in my body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again, Chee, for that. So I'm gonna tell about my background here, right? for many years, I have been having fruits, vegetables, I don't know, apples and peaches and cherries and all the crazy fruits that I can think of. Okay,
Right.
at the age of 16, in the States, there are certain fruits I'm not able to have. Those are apples, peaches, cherries. Okay, and I'm allergic to those. Found out that most of these fruits have pesticides in them. Too much of it. So the only way that I take that out is dump it in vinegar with water and leave it out for 24 hours. And I'm telling you, it works. But I've been told by other people that vinegar water is technically not good because you're putting pesticide back to pesticides again. So I don't know if it is true or not. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that is absolutely what I do, because I also have a juice business,
Hmm.
and I try to purchase all of my plants and fruits
Hmm.
organic,
Hmm.
because organic food here in the States, as long as it has that seal, they're not supposed to use pesticide.
Hmm.
They use the actual, manure and things like that to help the food grow.
Hmm.
But vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of sea salt is what I put in my water to actually cleanse the fruit and take those pesticides and the other things that they may spray with the actual fruit and plants, to cleanse the actual plants and fruits.
Hmm.
So no, it is not something that you're putting it back in. It definitely is a cleaning agent, and it's gentle enough that it doesn't affect the fruit. And yeah, no, that's something that I use. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Thank
and
you.
that's why I was like, yay.
Thank you again, Chee, for that. Now, is it true or is it a myth that when you're eating dinner, lunch, or breakfast, you should have different colors on your plate?
Um,
Or
different people say different things. I don't subscribe to any of that. Yeah, I'm more focused on alkaline and acidity.
right?
The foods that are going to create alkaline in your body, as well as the acidity from the foods. So all meats that we eat and consume of are acidic forming,
Hmm.
and some people cannot digest certain meats, so that the acidity then becomes toxic to their body.
Hmm.
So, so far as in having this color and that color and, this portion and all that, I don't necessarily subscribe to it.
Sure, sure.
But
Because
if it works for others, then,
yeah, I mean, with your example, I mean, you cannot have red on your plate at all because you said you can't have red in your food, right? So that.
no, no, no. So growing up, there is a certain dye
Hmm.
that they use in fruit punch. There's a certain dye that they,
I see.
back then, like the Fruity Pebbles, it was this red dye that they would put in, which is not actually real.
Got
But
it.
no, I eat bell peppers, red bell peppers,
Okay,
and
got it, got it, got it.
some other red stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again. Now, all the stuff that we're not supposed to eat, okay, which is bad sugar, bad salt, oil and all that. But if you really think of it, in olden times, they all used to have all of that and they had no issues. Do you think that we should take all those items in moderations, or should we just minus things out? What are your thought processes on that?
Um, well, today's food is a little different
Okay.
because the magnitude of, if you think back 20 years, the population isn't where it was 20 years ago.
Right.
So the population of people and the need to feed people has definitely grown.
Hmm.
So there have been a lot of cuts to how food is actually manufactured, how it is produced. And that right there is part of the problem, you know, to what's going on. So whereas in before you used to could eat certain things and it didn't bother you as much,
Hmm.
whereas in now people are seeing the change a lot sooner because of the fact that the food just isn't. I don't want to use the word real, but
Mm.
genetically modified, if you will.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, even when it comes down to the sweets, the cakes, and the sugars, those produce high, fructose, and uh, it just isn't bleach, flour, all of these different things to make the process go quicker has caused more of a problem.
So you think that the way they're doing, you think they're done in a cheap way, or they're done in a what are your thoughts on that? How is it different than the older times and new times? I think that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. So let's take McDonald's, for example.
Okay.
When McDonald's first opened up, the whole idea of McDonald's was to create a fast food place for the families that were getting off from work to grab something, but have something good,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happened as time has produced, they've cut back on, the real meat.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because of the fact that you don't know how long, it's going to take, how many sales you're going to get in. So they put more and more additives in it
Mm-hmm.
to preserve the food
Mm-hmm.
to make it, last longer and longer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you do that, you take away from the naturalness of the actual food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the preparing of it, they want it quick. They want it quick because it's a fast food place.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it was, in the past, they didn't mind because they didn't have the actual people coming in and
People
the
coming in.
fast service
Right.
needed so fast.
Right.
But now the things have changed. It's just like, okay, it's a microwave lifestyle. So not only am I cutting down on the realness of the food, but now I'm cooking it in a way that is not conventional.
Yeah. Yeah. So does that mean that we should stop eating fast food, or do you think because fast food is also good too? I mean, there. But how much do we stop, or should we stop? Because now we're living in a world of microwaves, right?
Right.
So what are your thought processes on that?
So it's not necessarily that you should stop, but you definitely should be cautious as into how much you're putting in. How much are you taking in to the point where as in your body cannot cleanse itself properly? So I am not an advocate or telling people, hey, listen, just be this health nut and
Right.
stay away from everything,
That's right.
but do it in moderation. Allow it to be a treat to yourself, not making it a habit, not making it an everyday routine. At one point in time in life, that's all my kids ate
Yeah.
because I was in corporate America. As soon as we got home,
Sure.
what y'all want from McDonald's? Let me go to McDonald's. What y'all want from McDonald's? And it was the same thing over and over and over again. And the steroids and the different stuff that they put in it again to preserve the food in order to make money. That's that's the change.
So
So
thank you again, by the way, Chief, for that. But most of the fast food area foods, you mentioned about quick food and less meat, and we don't know what type of meat is there. So people are kind of forced in their mind to go away from a non-veg to a vegetarian mode, or a vegetarian to a vegan mode. So do you think that's the way the world is going now, that we need to go vegetarian and vegan way? Or do we minimize the meat eating from, let's say, fast foods or even any other restaurants, and do home cooked meals? Which way do you think is better?
beautiful question. And I'm going to answer it a little different for you.
Okay.
Put a little salt and pepper on it.
Okay.
So it's funny you should ask me this because I got this revelation this year. And, you know, when I thought about the circle of life is a process, right? So you have, you know how the circle goes.
Sure.
But let's take a chicken, for instance. A chicken takes a while to produce an egg.
Hmm.
Then after it produces the egg has to hatch, which takes a while.
Hmm.
And then after it hatches, then it has to grow. Well, if you think about it, there's a chicken store on every corner of that you can think of. You turn to the left, they sell chicken. You
Mm.
turn to the right, they sell chicken.
Hmm.
You go north, they sell chicken, south, and so on. Um, it just isn't possible
Sure.
that this chicken and these eggs could produce that amount of food in order to preserve, realness. So
Mm.
they have to create or add to make it, whereas in they're able to continuously sell.
Mm.
I was actually watching this movie. It's called I can't think of it. But anyway, they worked in a chicken coop, whereas and they would separate the females from the males.
Mm.
And they would actually discard the males and only kept them for breeding purposes.
Mm.
And once they breed it, then they would discard it them. But the female chickens is what they actually use. They said because the female chickens taste better, whereas in the male chickens don't have, the flavor like the female chickens do.
Mm.
So again, are now we eating male chickens? I don't eat meat, but what is the difference here? What is the change?
Mm.
So my thing is, if in fact you were to, even if you don't want to live a complete vegetarian or vegan kind of lifestyle, still try to incorporate cutting back on meats because of the fact that we want to preserve our, our inhabitants. These animals are dying. We're multiplying and then we're killing them just so that we can feed the flesh. But if we thought about it in a different way, not telling you to completely leave it alone, but maybe even if you got away from it for maybe 3 days out of the week and just only did the vegetarian or vegan kind of lifestyle, I promise you, your body will thank you. And not only will the body thank you, but the universe will thank you. So that's my answer.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you again. So let me go and talk to my audience 1 second here, Chee.
Sure.
So this is what I've learned. Now, we are not saying that you should go vegan. We're not saying that you should go vegetarian. We're just simply saying that eat wisely no matter what it is. Now, it could be non veg, veg, or vegan. Remember last season we had a person, we talked about vegan lifestyle? It's a whole lifestyle that you got to change. Okay? It's a healthy way, yes, but there are some disadvantages to become a vegan, which is what? A B12 vitamin. You need your supplements. So whenever there is a minus or there's a gain, there's always a minus, right? That's what we say. So it's the same thing here too. There is a plus and minus to minus out your non-veg, your veg, and your vegan. It's a lifestyle. It's a moderation, just like what Chee said. We are not saying that don't go to fast food. Go to fast food. Indulge yourself. But do in moderations. I think that's what we're trying to say here. So, Chee, thank you again for that. So, let me ask you this. Now, the world that we're living in is um, too much of fatness, too much of gain, too much of weight, okay, and too much of fried food and all that. Is there a substitution for that, or should we minus out the fried food? Because those are great tasting stuff, right? For example, I mean, we're talking fried chicken, we're talking Popeyes, we're talking uh, crispy chicken, and we're talking everything else. So, what are your thoughts on these things?
So, fat, if we're talking about fat from the actual foods that we eat, then yes, grease is definitely something that's going to contribute to, fatty foods. Because even if you're on a diet, we still need the fat in our diet, but we need it in proportion.
That's right.
Again, it just goes back to what you said, moderation. Some people have high blood pressure.
That's right.
So I look at grease as being, if you look at a pipe, if you ever saw a pipe, and if you're a homeowner or even a renter, and your pipes, because you're pouring grease down it, it does what? It clogs it up.
Mm.
Why? Because the grease, even though it's very liquidy once it is warm, but once it hardens up, it begins to harden and clog so that things don't flow through it properly.
Mm.
Well, that's the same thing that happens with our colon. When we're not eating properly and we're constantly putting in, lard, grease, fried foods because you have to have the grease in order to fry it. When we have those things, guess what happened? We're creating that gunk if so to speak, just like how grease does the pipes,
Mm,
in our actual intestines and in our colon.
mm,
And guess what happens? That's how disease also begins to fall into the body, because it's not actually properly having that full clean, flush out. And people say, well, I go to the bathroom every day. No, it doesn't matter that you go to the bathroom every day.
mm.
Still, it leaves
It
behind.
leaves behind.
When you run your sink, you run your water every day,
That's right.
but still that grease finds a way to get stuck onto those side curves. So you definitely have to be mindful of what you're doing. I tell all of my clients, do everything in moderation. I never want to tell somebody to, drastically jump into
Jump into
something.
cold
It's
turkey.
something that you have to start out small. And then once you start seeing, most people, once they start seeing the benefits from it, once they start seeing results from it, they don't want to go back, or they treat it as an actual treat. So, you know, I'm not saying stay away from the grease, but just be mindful of what it does to
Sure,
the body
sure.
when you partake in it.
So, Chee, you brought up a good point about the sink and the clogging up the pipe. Okay. Now, when we're living at home, we're doing that all that, the Drano and putting hot water and cleaning that pipe out. Okay. But what do you do for maintaining your body? Because we maintain our house with those sink and the pipes. What do we need to do for the body point of view? What are your thoughts on that?
So, as a licensed juice therapist, um, as you can see here, um, we do 4 times a year cleanse. And I try to do with my clients 7 at the minimum. But if you can do 10, which is like 2 weeks, that's even better. If you could do 14, that's great. But we need to clean out our body at least 4 times a year.
Hmm.
And usually we start when the seasons change. So
Sure.
currently, right now, that's what I'm on. I'm on one of my cleanses where I clean out my pipes. We talked about the pipes in the home and in your, kitchen. But think of a fish tank. If you ever seen a fish tank before,
Hmm.
even if you have a filter on it, it still gets dirty.
Sure.
It still needs to be cleansed.
Yes.
You can put all the pH, stuff in there to keep the water up, but guess what? The pH, the algae that goes on in those pipes, the cells, the defecation that goes on with the fish and things like that, it has to be cleansed, and our bodies need cleansing. You need to clean your body. Going to the bathroom every day is great, but an actual cleanse where you're cleaning out your colon, you want to reduce the amount of food that you take in so that the body is just like a furnace. You want to turn the furnace off for a while, let it rest. Anybody that has, a furnace, you don't leave your air conditioner running all summer long. You have it on auto. You may turn it on for a period of time to chill off the house, and then once it gets there, then you put it back on auto. But you don't leave it running and running and running. Same thing with the heat. You don't leave it running. Well, we're constant running our bodies whenever we're partaking in solid foods.
Mm.
So doing a juice fast is something that I recommend all of my clients to partake in, because that juicing allows the body to, one, take a break, just rest.
Mm.
It takes time, it sits back and it can rest. It doesn't have to go through the whole processing of going through the liver, through the pancreas, and, then expelling through the colon. It gives your body rest. And the juice is ultimate, it is the ultimate thing that you can give your body. Juicing is like manna from heaven, to be honest with you,
Mm.
because when you actually drink so we talked about enzymes in
Sure.
humans.
Sure.
Well, the enzymes from juicing also happens when you're able to crack open that plant and pull out the nutrients,
Mm.
right? The
Mm.
nutrients and the minerals.
Mm.
And now you're forming it into a liquid form. When you drink it, my goodness, I tell you, it bathes your cells.
Mm.
And now it can actually heal certain areas of your body that may need healing. So, fasting and doing a juice fast, and that detoxing your body at least 4 times a year is how I keep my body clean.
Well, we'll definitely keep in touch, Chi, for finding out what are the four things that I need to do to cleanse myself every year. And then we're not gonna say it here because I want people to contact you directly, and because everyone's body is a little different, right? So
Yes.
so we are not gonna say that you know what you're gonna have orange juice today and tomorrow you're gonna have apple. Okay, we're not gonna say that because everyone's body is a little different. Because maybe my reaction to apple juice is gonna be different than yours. Uh,
Yeah. So, it's funny you should mention that because one of my newest clients thought that I meant, she's like, well, I don't do juicing because, the doctors say the juice is bad for me. And I'm like, what? You can't have greens? And she's like, no, like apple juice. And no, so juicing is consistent
exactly.
of cucumbers, kale,
Exactly.
and, celery and all that with just a little bit of fruit to give it a different pop of
Exactly.
taste. But people really don't know this. And I'll give you some other little pointers, some hints. Um, the plants is what um, nourishes the body. Fruits are an actual cleanser. Fruits actually help clean out your system.
That's right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, thank you again. I wanted to explain to people that we're not talking about orange juice and we're not talking about
yeah.
apple juice or pineapple juice or any Minimate stuff or anything like that.
No, not at all.
We're talking other elements that we need to put in there to make that juice. People need to understand that yes, apples, oranges, peaches, these are all important items, but they're just minute, different as the others are as equal needed also for the body. Am I right on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Spot on.
So, Chi, thank you so much for coming here. You have done so much. What what is Chi for the next 5 more years? It seems like you have done so much now. I've known you for a long time, so it seems like I need to know what are you going to do for the next 5 years.
Only time can tell what I'm going to do. I have worked my way up through corporate America, starting from the bottom, and each position that I've had, I've always embraced it with the best of my ability, with integrity, with love, and compassion. And now that I am working for myself, I am now learning to do those same things. I embrace everyone that I come in contact with. Um, I just embrace the opportunity to share, to love on them. Integrity is something that I definitely believe in. It is something that my father instilled in me at a very young age. I hate, I don't even like to use the word hate, but I despise people who don't tell the truth. So, again, that all falls back to my integrity. So, right now, I'm not sure. I know I want to open up a juice bar and I want to be able to create that fast food type of healthy lifestyle for people. That is in my future. I am looking to open that up and create, juices so that people can come in and get a fresh juice. They may not have an actual juicer at home, but if they come to my place, then guess what? They can be inspired. Like, you know what? I can do this myself, but still come back to visit because of the fact that they enjoyed the experience that they had with me. So I definitely see that happening. There's so much in store. I can only tell you that my journey in this particular area started last year, and it is definitely growing. And I'm just constantly on fire. Even though it's cold, I'm on fire inside of my soul,
Sure.
and for the love of people. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Gee, thank you so much for coming on my show. Do you have any last quick words for Back to Basics before you leave today?
Um, get back to the basics. That's my last words. Get back to the basics. And what does that look like? You know, being healthy. It is our duty to make sure that our temples are clean. I am not where I want to be, but losing 70 pounds has definitely been rewarding. It changed my attitude. It changed my overall being able to get up and move. It changed my agility.
That's right.
So, weight was a burden. And it was a burden because I was carrying around burdens. And when I began to release those burdens, the weight started coming off.
Hmm.
It's a lifestyle change.
Hmm.
It is not about how many carbs you eat and, things like that. Yes, you still want to pay attention to that, but that's not the main idea. It's really about being healthy. It's not about being a size 2. It's about being healthy.
That's right.
So get back to the basics. Start loving you so that you can create a better world.
Yeah, yeah. Chee, thank you so much for coming on my show and making it brighter. And we're going to talk every day, at least seems like every other day on Clubhouse. And you're just a power girl. I don't know what to tell you. You just are just amazing person. And just be truthful to whatever you do. And please be friends with me
Yes, yes,
later.
yes, yes.
Thank you
So
again, Chee, for coming here again. Go ahead.
thank you. I just wanted to say, guys, I'm usually dolled up, but I didn't know that we were going to be on camera today. But it's all good. I am happy and excited that I had the chance to spend with you. And I thank you, Girish, for all the beautiful things that you have installed in, Clubhouse, how you always invoke these, wonderful thoughts. You're an amazing fella, and high five off to you. And congratulations on your second season of Back to the Basics. You're doing an awesome job. Continue to, fill up the world with your positive energy and having great shows like this.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again, Chee, for coming here. And thank you again. And we'll keep on talking.
Alrighty. Take care.
So, guys, we spoke with Chee today and we talked about the basics of the lifestyle. There's one thing that I did not tell Chee. You know, many, many years ago, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I had some issues with my weight. Not ugliness, not weight problem. It's just I was not feeling it. I lost 40 pounds. I lost 45 pounds. And it's all because of lifestyle change. If you do moderations, you do a little exercise, I'm pretty sure you go a long way. And you feel confident, just like what she said, right? It's all about attitude and how you walk, how you talk, how you meet people, and how you dress up. I think it all matters to that too. And it's all about lifestyle change. As usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and I think she might like that too whenever she listens to this episode. Here's a quote of the day. Take care of your body. It's the only place you live in. Now, have you noticed that we are the souls? We are left into a vessel. This is a vessel that we need to keep pure and awesome to. And that's what I'm trying to say on my quote today. As usual, as always, what do I always say at the end of the episode? You know it, but she doesn't know it. But I'll tell you, everything in life goes back to basics. And that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and keep on commenting as much as you can. Good, bad, ugly, either way, it'll make my show stronger day by day and week by week. Yes, week by week and every day. And there are 3 things that everyone knows why we do this show. 1, the content is going to be amazing. Guest is going to be awesome. And the 3rd thing is the best of all, which is the host is the best. Guys, take care, God bless, and I will see you next week's episode on Back to Basics. Okay, so another scenario. I have seen a bunch of people in these last 40 to 5 decades of everyone's life here. I have noticed that people are getting more into the gluten-free aspect of dieting and nutrition. Is it because the climate has kind of changed? Or the processing has changed? I mean, now we talked about fruit already. Now we're talking the other aspect of vegetables and everything else, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, gluten-free, when it really hit kind of mainstream in the United States, I think still today,